We are the painters of our world. We are creators. We decide what goes.
Welcome to another episode of the Educate Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Danny Morrison, and I'm so glad you're tuning in today because we're diving deep into something close to my heart. Today, we're talking about second chances, about redemption, and about the undeniable power and hope of higher education. It's well known that anyone who has experienced the criminal justice system faces incredible challenges in trying to move on and build a better future. We've seen it, we've lived it, or we know someone who has. But California's community colleges and the Rising Scholars Network is making sure that justice-impacted individuals have a real opportunity to change their lives. In fact, through its various initiatives, the Rising Scholars Network serves almost 20,000 justice-involved students, both on campus and in correctional institutions statewide. Rising Scholars programs are making sure that justice-impacted students get the support they need, from enrollment to graduation and every step in between. The Rising Scholars Network is also helping justice-impacted students find jobs by partnering with employers statewide, creating new pathways that drive California's economy, workforce, and community reintegration efforts. California's community colleges and Rising Scholars programs across the state are opening doors, breaking down barriers, and giving justice-impacted men and women a real shot at a brighter future. So let's get right to our first guest. Our first guest today is Tai Griffith. She is a visiting executive with the California Community Colleges Chancellor's Office, and she has seen firsthand the impact and hope that the Rising Scholars Program is giving to justice-impacted students. Tai, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's start by you sharing a bit about yourself, where you are from, what your background is, and how you ended up working in higher education.
Born and raised in California, grew up in Duarte, California, and I spent most of my childhood driving up and down California with my mom, visiting different family members, community members in prison. So I like to say I've been doing prison work for a really long time. As a juvenile, got into some trouble, did a little bit of time in juvenile hall. About 30 years ago, actually, I was incarcerated youth, deemed incorrigible, ward of the court, and pregnant.
Wow.
I had many people tell me my life was over. And for me, education was something that really just not only transformed me academically, but emotionally, spiritually. And so as soon as I had the opportunity to really go back into higher ed and give in the way that I received, I was all for it. So I've worked in higher ed now for about 20 years in many capacities. So I've been a classified professional for many years, faculty and administrator. And so it's a privilege to be in higher ed and really to do this work.
That is so powerful and inspirational, too. So this episode is focusing on the Rising Scholars Network. What is the Rising Scholars Network? How did it start? And how has it grown?
So the Rising Scholars Network is a statewide network that's really focused on supporting justice-impacted students that are currently incarcerated and formerly incarcerated. We now exist at over 83 community colleges. We have spread to all state prisons here in California. We're in all federal institutions here in California. We're in 35 county jails, 44 youth facilities, and we're looking to expand and grow with the hopes of being in all correctional institutions in California and at all community colleges in California.
So what can someone who enters a Rising Scholars program today expect? Can you talk about what kinds of resources are available to students and what kind of support they get?
Yeah, so we have Rising Scholars programs that exist in prisons, and we also have Rising Scholars programs that exist on campus, and they do operate a little differently. For those on-campus programs, students can expect a community of support. They can expect people that have that lived experience, that know exactly what they're going through. They're going to get that individualized counseling from folks who understand what it's like to have a felony conviction in your background, to understand what it may look like if you need to get a license or other types of, just support in looking for a job. So that workforce piece of it. They can find other support like book vouchers, meal vouchers, field trips, and other educational kind of enrichment opportunities, tutoring, and just really, more than anything, a sense of belonging and community. I find that when you feel that you belong somewhere, when you feel that you're supported and cared for, you continue to show up.
So, Tai, how many individuals have Rising Scholars programs helped, and what kind of difference has it made for those individuals?
We currently serve about 20,000 students, and that's on campus and inside facilities. And in terms of the changes, one of the things that we do know is that education impacts recidivism. So as we talk about recidivism, we're looking at the percentage of people who get out of prison and return to prison. Once you have an associate's degree, which is offered at the community college, recidivism goes down. Bachelor's degree goes down even lower. Master's degree, it's like literally less than 1%. And so that's the power of education. It absolutely changes lives. It absolutely opens doors.
So tell me, if there's someone who is formerly incarcerated and is now on a college campus, take me through the process on how they can get involved with the Rising Scholars program.
So there's several ways. Some colleges have implemented supplemental questions within their application. So the CCC Apply application, where they're asking these questions, right? Are you formerly incarcerated? Because if you answer yes, someone's going to reach out to you and say, hey, we have this program, we have this support. Also, you can go to the admissions office and say, can you point me in the direction of your Rising Scholars program? And anyone from admissions to student services would be able to support you in that.
So as I understand it, the Rising Scholars Network connects students to jobs. Tell me how that works.
The California Community Colleges are the largest educational serving institution, I think, in the nation. We have over 116 campuses in California, and we serve over 2 million students, very diverse population. And so students through the community college can connect with certificate programs that will lead straight to the workforce. They can complete their general education requirements and transfer to a 4-year university, get a bachelor's degree. There's many things that they can do, but one of the things that we intentionally try to do is we want to connect students with their passion. What are you passionate about, right? Do you want to give back? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to work with your hands? And so really it depends on the students, because there's really no one pathway, right? It depends on what you're passionate about. So we want to connect you to those passions. But the great thing about the California Community College system as a whole is that you could be almost anything you want to be there.
Now, there's someone watching right now or listening via podcast. There also may be someone who knows someone who may benefit from the Rising Scholars Program who's on the inside. What do they need to know? What do they need to do? And where do they need to go? What can students expect?
So if you are inside of a prison facility, one, you got to get your high school diploma or GED. So that is a requirement in order to enter into the college program. Next, every college has a contact. So an educational contact inside of the prison. We call them PESCIs, but they have a PESCI that literally they will work with to get students enrolled. And so oftentimes we find that there are wait lists. And so students have to get on that wait list at their facility and continue to program, continue to do the things that they need to do so that when they reach the top of that wait list, they don't have any barriers in their way to begin that educational program.
Now, there are some who may feel like higher education isn't an option for them or that they are not college material. What would you say to those people?
I would say you absolutely are college material because once upon a time, I believed I wasn't college material. And I understand how we can fall into those beliefs. I never had anyone in my family go to college, never anyone in my community go to college. And so why would I see myself as college material? And it wasn't until I actually stepped foot on that college and took my very first class that I realized I was cheating myself the whole time, that all I needed to do was just believe in myself, because we are all college material.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So on behalf of the Educate Elevate podcast, California Community Colleges, Tai, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our next guest is Isaiah Posey. At just 16 years old, Isaiah faced the challenges of being a justice-impacted youth, entering a system that could have defined his future. Instead, Isaiah chose to rewrite his story and, with the help of the Rising Scholars Network, earned his associate degree and discovered a passion for debate and public speaking as well. Isaiah, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So Isaiah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
We grew up in a rough neighborhood, grew up in South LA in the early mid-90s. You know, that was a rough time to be living in Los Angeles, especially as a black kid. And so we seen a lot. You know, racial tension was just, sparking up around that time. So I grew up with all of this in mind. And it did invoke a little bit of fear in me growing up, but I also knew that I had a responsibility to my mother to make sure that, my brothers and I were protected and that she could see her kids come home.
Mm. So what incidents led to you becoming incarcerated when you were younger?
Well, growing up, I didn't have a positive male role model in my life. And so I began to look into, the neighborhood and see that, there were things that I were attracted by older males in the neighborhood.
Mm.
The cars, the jewelry, the money, the flashiness, all of those things, coupled with the fact of living borderline poverty, having my mother have to, struggle to provide to make ends meet for us as well. I then began to delve into the street life. I joined a gang. Initially, it was just one of those things where I grew up with the kids that were in the neighborhood, and we all were looking for the same things. And so we gravitated towards one another and the older men that was in our neighborhood as well. That led me to, making some decisions that would eventually lead me to incarceration. I was incarcerated at the age of 16 years old for the crime of attempted murder and was eventually sentenced to 120 years to life as a result of that crime.
Whoa.
And so I never finished. I actually never even completed 8th grade. I went to jail 1 month after my 16th birthday. So the extent of my education has been during my incarceration.
But you did go to Bakersfield College. Tell me about that moment when you made that decision.
It was at a turning point in my life. That time I had been incarcerated for 10 years. I had just so happened to be getting out of security housing unit, solitary confinement, and the yard that I ended up landing on in Kern Valley State Prison, Delano, they had just started a new program called the Rising Scholars Program. It was the initial cohort, and if you got your GED, you could sign up and you could attend college classes face to face. The opportunity that was presented to be able to attend face to face college experience classes was something that definitely piqued my interest.
So take us inside, so to speak, because I want to know about your feelings.
Okay.
You're inside taking college courses.
Yeah.
Describe that feeling to me. How did you feel knowing I'm taking college courses right now?
Man, education has always been something that I've had a passion for. And it was just a feeling of pride and taking it back to me being a kid and having my mother always impress upon me the power of and the importance of education, knowing that I was doing her justice, those words back then, justice, and making her proud as I would call home and tell her, like, Mom, I just got an A in my communications class, or I'm learning Japanese, Mom, like, and to hear how proud she was to speak through me through that telephone and let me know just how proud she was that even despite the circumstances, I was still prioritizing my education and still finding ways to reach higher, reach further. Man, it was motivating. It was inspiring. It was affirming. It got to a point where my mother was so inspired by what I was doing that she even decided to go back to school and pursue her nursing degree.
Wow.
Man, it just fills my heart with so much joy. Fills my heart.
Ours as well. So tell us more about the Rising Scholars Network.
Okay.
Tell me about the support and the resources you received from it, and what role did it play in your college journey overall?
The Rising Scholars Network at the outset was 100% supportive of us being in that space and transforming ourselves, redeeming ourselves. They didn't see us as an inmate number. For the first time in a very long time that I could remember, they addressed me by my first name. They called me Mr. And that right there was just paradigm shifting, because it took me out of the space that I was in for so long, just feeling like I was just another number or just another statistic. But no, I was a man. I was a person. I was a human being that mattered. And what I was doing was important. What I was doing was impactful. I could remember my communications professor speaking life into me the first time she heard me speak publicly in her classroom. I didn't even know that I could utilize the power of my voice for change until I started hearing people tell me, you have a powerful voice. What you are saying will change lives. And you continue on the path that you're on, and you will be in a position to affect change. You will use your voice. You will use your story. Believe me that you have purpose. Hearing those words being affirmed constantly every single time that I open my mouth to speak in those spaces, it has, without question, motivated me, led me to this place that I'm in right now, to be able to sit here before you and have this conversation with you and speak from the heart and tell my story, because back then those people told me, you have something to say. What you say matters.
So how does someone like you go from a 120-year sentence to the Rising Scholars Program to where you are today?
That journey began with the Rising Scholars Program. And it wasn't until I was inside of this program and was fortunate enough to be able to be around people who were encouraging me to see the human side of myself that I began to take hold of the change that was being offered through the program. As I attained my degree and learned the skills of effective communication styles, I was able to attain my degree and champion for myself the opportunity to be able to transfer to a lower level prison. By then, the tide was turning, and the criminal justice system, they were beginning to look at juveniles who were justice impacted as youth, and beginning to take a second look based on the science that was supporting the fact that men weren't able to fully appreciate as juveniles, as youth, the consequences of their actions at the time they may have committed them as youth. And so I was able to petition to a judge to have my sentence recalled based on my potential for rehabilitation and the efforts that I've shown thus far. And by the grace of God, that judge did see fit that I be deserving of that second chance. In May of 2024, I was released from prison after serving 17 and a half years.
Wow. That is an amazing, amazing story. Future looks bright. Future looks bright.
Thank you.
5 years from now, where's Isaiah?
Isaiah is using his voice to inspire others to know that there is hope. My plan is to also create a program for at-risk youth, teaching them financial literacy and the power of public speaking so that they can harness the power of their voice to become community leaders.
So here's the moment I need you right now.
Oh, no.
There's a young person watching or listening via podcast. What advice would you give them who may not feel they can't go to college? There's no way they can do what you did. Give them some advice today.
My advice to you is, I sat in the seat that you are sitting. I stepped and walked in the shoes that you are walking in. And I once believed the way that you believe right now, but I am telling you that it is possible, that as long as you keep the faith, you take hold of the advice, the encouragement, the prodding, the pushing of those who are behind you, and believe that whatever it is that they see in you is true, that you can do it, that you can make it, that you can seize hold of your life and make it something great. You may not be able to see a week from now, a year from now, But believe me, as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other and not see turning back as an option, you will make it. You will make it.
Isaiah, I appreciate you coming in here and being so transparent with us on the Educate Elevate podcast.
Thank you
so
brother.
much for your time and telling your story today.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Siobhan Walker. While in prison, Siobhan found the support and motivation he needed through the Rising Scholars Network. And now he is using what he learned in order to give back to his community in big ways. Siobhan, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are from, and what was school like for you?
Well, I'm born and raised between Altadena, California, and South Central Los Angeles. School, I kind of enjoyed school, but my environment didn't support going to school. It didn't support, getting a higher education. So I fell a victim to, the streets. The streets got me.
Now, you can divulge whatever information that you'd like.
Yes.
Be as transparent as you wish.
Right.
Because there's some young people watching or listening right now. I want it to be as relatable as possible. What are some of the circumstances that led you to a life behind bars?
Gang life, number one. Doing crimes. That comes with the gang life where you adopt certain behaviors that you think are normal because of that environment. Even though I had people telling me, hey, that's not the life you should be living and this and that. But I'm looking around me. Well, everybody else is living it.
Right.
From my eyes. So what makes me any different?
Product of your own environment.
Right. So I did. It cost me. It cost me most of my life. It cost me being out of my children's life. To this day, they question me, what made me continue to do the same things, knowing I have these two children in this world that I'm responsible for, or part responsible for. And it hurts me now to this day because they ask me, like, you didn't love us? And all along, I thought I was doing it because I loved them. I don't mean to cry, but
good.
it's just...
It's all good.
It's just part of, just where I am now is why I'm crying.
Yeah.
And these are more so like tears of joy than hurt or anything. It was so hard for me to take when my children said that to me and have to really settle and think about it. And I just felt like, okay, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to start really looking into my life and seeing where I started realizing those things were okay that I was doing.
Now, as I understand it, you were part of the first cohort
Yes.
Of the Rising Scholars Program. What was the program like for you, and how did it help your experience being a Bakersfield College student?
Like I said, I felt a part of something.
Yeah.
Something positive, more so than, than a gang. Because I didn't get anything from the gang life. I didn't get nothing but pain, death, hurt, prison time. But from Bakersfield College, that in the Rising Scholars Program, I got confidence. I got supportive people all the way through. I felt love, and especially in a prison setting, that's like, you don't feel, the love is not,
right.
You don't feel love. That's, that's softness, But I felt love in a genuine way. Like somebody cared about my life just as much as me. I felt like some of them cared about my life more than me.
Right.
And which led me to care more about my life and the decisions that I made along the way.
I want to double back for a second before we continue with the questioning. When did you tell your children that you were in the Rising Scholars Program, and what was their reaction to it?
Well, I told my son, as soon as I joined, I told him. And he was like, "Go, Dad." He like, "But come back, talk to me when you get the degree."
Yeah.
Because I want to see you complete that.
Yeah.
Because just you going and being in there, because they were so used to me getting in trouble, going back and forth to the hole.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, okay, You in there, but let's see where it goes. Let's see if you complete it. And I did. And my son is proud of me to this day.
So you go through the Rising Scholars Program. Your son was egging you on, saying, Dad, get it done. Come on, we're rooting for you.
Right.
You complete the program. You make that phone call to your son. Take us to that moment.
I called him when I got the day. I hadn't actually got the degree in my hand yet, but when I was informed, they gave me the paper saying I completed. Your degree will be in the mail soon. I was excited. Like, I said, man, let me call him and let him know I got the degree. I made it to the end. When I called him, at first he was like, so send me a picture. Send me a picture of it. You know, where you got it at? Where is it at? And I'm like, well, listen, I don't. So I said, I don't have the actual degree yet, because you remember, I am in prison. So he was like, are they going to send it to you? And he was like, well, have them send it to me, you know, so I can have it. I'm going to put that, can I keep it?
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, if you want it, you can keep it. But yeah, that was cool.
Do you know how special that's got to be?
Man.
Your son takes your degree and puts it on his wall.
Yeah, that was powerful for me. So I took it back. Just to let you know.
You loaned it to him.
Yeah, I did. He had it for a second. When I came home, I had to take it back.
So you got to give me the next moment then, because you held that degree in your hand at some point.
Right.
Take me to that moment.
And that's why I had to take it back, because for me, that was one of my biggest accomplishments.
Yeah.
You did that. And looking back on my full past, couldn't even imagine it. That I'd be holding a degree in my hands.
You went from gang warfare to a life in prison sentence to a college graduate.
Right. 360.
360.
360.
You turned your life around. That Rising Scholars Program grabbed you and said, come on.
It did.
But you had to be receptive to the program.
You have to be open to it. You know, if you resist it, then you're going to keep getting what you were getting.
Right.
But once you open to it, there's no telling what you could achieve. And I've seen it. Not just my story.
Right.
Isaiah, Dallas Wright, several. I see it. I've seen it with my own eyes.
I'll take it a step further, and you tell me if I'm overstepping the bounds. Are you out right now if you don't join that program, the Rising Scholars Program?
No. I'll be honest. No.
Right.
No. I would not be sitting in front of you right now if I hadn't joined that program. It opened my mind.
No, what I try to do, everyone that comes on, I'd love for you to talk to that young person, any person that may be watching right now that doesn't believe that they can go to college. They don't believe that they can achieve what you've achieved. Give them some advice. Talk to them. Let them know that it can be possible.
Well, I'll say this. I was one of those people also. Didn't think college was possible. It was for me, or I couldn't accomplish it because of my environment. Unfortunately, that I had to wait till I went to prison to have that opportunity or to take that opportunity. But you can do it. It's up to you. It's the decisions, the choices that you make. No matter what your surroundings are, no matter what your circumstances, if that's what you want to do, you can do it. Don't hold yourself back because you feel like you can't afford it. You got financial aid. You got organizations that will support you if you're willing to support yourself. There's so many possibilities. So look at what you can do instead of looking at what you can't do. You can go to college if that's what you want to do. And you don't have to just play sports to get there. There are very smart people who've got scholarships. And there's a lot of smart people that I know that I'm talking to right now. Go get it. It's up to you.
It goes without saying, on behalf of the Educate Elevate podcast and California Community College's Siobhan, thank you so much for your story and your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks to our guests, Tai Griffith, Isaiah Posey, and Siobhan Walker, for being here today. I hope you are as inspired as I am after hearing their stories. California's community colleges believe that education provides a pathway for hope and the ability to overcome for all students. The Rising Scholars Network sees the potential inside every individual, regardless of their past. And together, they're helping justice-impacted students build a future where their resilience, not their mistakes, define their path. If you want to learn more about the Rising Scholars Network, or want to discover the many resources and opportunities available at California's community colleges, check out icangotocollege.com. Whether you're looking for financial aid, academic guidance, mentorship, or transfer assistance, you'll find it all there. That's icangotocollege.com. Thanks for joining us. And remember, no matter what lies in your past, a brighter future is possible if you know where to start. Because to educate is to elevate.
We are the painters of our world.